Insane in the Membrane.
Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Membrane, with me, Rich Wilson. This week I'm joined by the excellent human being, Matt Price. Hello, mate.
Hello, Rich. How are you, mate?
How you
Thanks
doing?
for having me.
I'm good. You all right? Mate, it's my pleasure. It's been a long time coming.
It has indeed, I know. I've been listening to your podcast, actually, and I will say it's very good. And one of the things you do, of course, as you know, I'm not hijacking your podcast, by the way, but what I'm going to say is this. Every episode you say good things about your guests, and I wanted to be the person who says to anyone listening, Rich Wilson's a very good guy. Now, I'm saying that not because I owe you anything, but because I always see you when we're in front of audiences, and it's a weird time when you've got that little bit of sort of nerves and expectation and adrenaline to walk up and go, Rich, I know you're about to go on and say 400 people, but I really like you. So I just thought I'd say it now. You know, you've got a huge amount of goodwill on the comedy circuit, mate, so I'm genuinely pleased to be here. Thank you.
That's lovely to hear, actually, because you worry sometimes. You just, you get in your own edge and you're like, does anyone give a fuck? But people do give a fuck, don't they? Yeah.
They do, but they don't tell you, and that's part of the problem. So I wanted to sort of, wanted to let you know, just in case anything happens. We could both die.
Oh, man, imagine that if we just both died at the end of this.
Hey. Front page of Chortle, which is the industry.
But you're a lovely dude, and we should have done this ages ago. I don't know why we haven't. It's one of those you kind of go, yeah, Matt, let's get Matt on, and then we just didn't. But we're here, and we're doing it.
We are.
We're here, and
we are indeed.
This is how lovely you are. I remember we were driving back from somewhere. I've told people this story many times. We were driving back. I think you were. I don't know if you were living in Kilburn up that way, and we were coming back. We were coming back sort of past Abbey Road, the famous recording studio.
Yeah.
And I stopped the car and I went, mate, I'm sorry, but we have to walk across the zebra crossing. You didn't even flinch. You went, yeah, fine. Like, you didn't even go, mate, it's 2:00 in the morning or whatever time it was. You just went, yeah, fine, let's fucking do it. And I've never forgotten that. That's the kind of person you are. You went, yeah, fuck it, let's do that then. Amazing.
Yeah, I am. Hypnotherapists call that being suggestible, because I'm very much into hypnosis. Other people call it easily led, and I will do anything. I have absolutely no idea why. Honestly, I don't drink a lot, but if you said to me, Matt, I know it's my podcast, let's go and get drunk right now, I would probably do it, because I am that kind of guy. I mean, I make myself sound very windswept and interesting, of course, and anyone actually watching the live video will be looking at me going, hang on, what you on about, mate? You sat there with your headphones and a neck fan, which I'll get to in a minute. But I tend to be spontaneous, and I genuinely say no to very little.
I'm the same, mate, and I used to think it was easily led, and there's a part of it that is. I mean, I've got myself in all manner of pickles when I've gone,
exactly.
Yeah, all right. Because I want to upset that other person. I've gone, yeah, fine, and end up in some fucking basement somewhere doing whatever I'm doing. But now I'm older, I kind of go, no. Actually, I don't want to do that. I don't think that's a very good idea. You can, but I'm not going to go and do that. So as you get older, it gets better. But I think what you have, and I say that to someone, I think I'm a bit like that as well. Kind of go, the power of yes. You go, yeah, I'll do that. What? You never know where you're going to end up. And that's what that is. I think that's what it's, a positive attitude.
I like that very much. The power of yes sounds so much better than the inability to say no because you're a weak-willed bitch. And that's not me getting all Matt Price on you. I'm not going, oh, Rich, I'm so vulnerable. I don't mean that. I go back 20 odd years ago when I was sort of starting this journey, I did the call centre circuit in Cardiff, and I was friends with a woman at the time who was like, she was a dominatrix, right? Now, I didn't really know what that was at the time, but I'll fast forward 3 weeks later when I ended up going to a fetish fair with her in London, with a view to being her security, all because I couldn't say no. And it was one of the strangest experiences I've had in my life. All I had to do was say to her, look, this just isn't my thing. I don't really want to go. And I stood there for about 8 hours just sort of watching people doing all sorts of stuff. Nothing particularly X-rated, I have to say. But there are times when you think, no, that was definitely a weakness on my part. On the other hand, if you want to put a positive spin on it, if we're being positive, then, of course, saying, yes, okay, this is who you are, I'll embrace that, can still lead you to be in a basement somewhere. but it's fun along the way, isn't it? It's good. It's good to be good to people. Do you not think it is?
Yes,
it's good to be good to people.
Yeah. And you get to
and to
experience,
enjoy their,
like
to enjoy their company.
Yeah, and it wasn't like you say, it wasn't for you, but you got to experience something that you might not have experienced. You know, it'd be fully going to go, all right, I tried that, it wasn't really for me, but at least I know now. I didn't, you know, I said yes, and at least I went along with it for a bit. And I mean, it's a good job you realised at some point, otherwise you could have ended up in all manner of situations in that respect.
Oh, absolutely. And I would probably have turned it into an Edinburgh show or something, or written a poem. I don't know what you're meant to do. You know, turning tragedy into something. But I think, do you know what it is? I like to find out what's going to happen next in life.
Yes.
You know, no matter what it is. You know, even I think as comics, I don't want to make it too much about comedy, but even if I wasn't a comedian, I'd probably still be down the pub or whatever, down my local, telling people, "Well, you'll never guess what happened today." You know, my uncle Jeff was an old timer, right? And he used to live right next door to his local pub. And when the holidaymakers came down, this is an example of telling stories and stuff. He would tell stories to the holidaymakers, but the first thing he would do, he'd come in at about 6:35 every day, because they're on holiday anyway, so they're always in there. And he would tell them the weather forecast, and it would be word for word what he just heard on the television, but they didn't know that. So he reeled them in with that, and then he would tell them a great story.
Wow.
And that story sometimes would last about 2 hours. I was only a kid watching him saying, "Well, I don't know, I've only got this much left of my drink now, and I'm feeling a little bit thirsty, so I might not be able to remember the next bit. No, please, Jeffrey, please, allow us to buy you another drink." He would be hammered by the end of it. But he spent the entire summer season basically getting free drink, but also saying to me, "Well, I can't wait to meet the next bunch of bloody idiots when they come in." You know, so he had a respect for them, but he was on that journey, and I've inherited that. The apple has not fallen that far from the tree in terms of our family. So, you know, I spend my life, just to put a positive spin on it, wanting to know what happens next. What am I going to be doing later today or tomorrow or the day after that? And sometimes it's bland. You know, you got to do stuff that's you got to do admin. You know, that's not great, is it? Or you've got to go food shopping or something like that, or whatever it is that you don't like doing. But there's a bit of fun to be had along the way. And anyone listening now is going to be going, "Matt Price, why are you putting such a positive spin on it?" Oh, well, I said at the start, Rich wasn't a good guy. That's why. Only as good as the company you keep. You're only as good as the company you keep.
True. Do you know what I do? I have to catch myself, because I realised I do err on the side of negativity quite a bit. So I look at that. Oh, why is that happening? Why is that? But now I'm like, no. Just something's happened in the last few years where I've gone, no, I don't want to feel like that anymore. I want to feel positive. I have to physically say, no, look at the better side of this. What's the good thing about this that you're doing? And, you know, ended up I've been to fetish fairs and seen, I've been in basements seeing people hung from the rafters by hooks in their backs and all that shit. And you sort of stood there going, well, I'm glad I've seen it. I mean, I don't want to do this, but this is okay. I saw this now. This is good. All right, you know, and that's because I was like, yeah, all right, I'll go and do that. And I think I'd rather be like that rather than some of the people I know that haven't experienced anything. You know, they won't even have avocado.
I wouldn't have avocado. What kind of animal would say no to an avocado? I mean, come on. You know, I can understand not wanting to be hung on a hook from a ceiling whilst people are masturbating, but really, an avocado? Come on. Come on.
No, this was art. This was art, baby. This was art.
Oh, okay, it was art. And I'm not saying it was you who was doing the masturbating, and I don't want to go down that route either. Do you know what it feels like, Rich? It feels like we're two mildly depressed blokes who are actually trying to motivate each other this afternoon. Does that make sense? I think we'd be terrible motivational speakers. Could you imagine? I mean, I'm a big fan of, I don't know if you've heard of it. There's a motivational speaker called Eric the Hip Hop Preacher. I thoroughly recommend him. Oh, mate, he's amazing. He's amazing. Right? Imagine Chris Rock. So it means I can't do the impersonation because we'll both get cancelled. But imagine Chris Rock doing motivational speaking. He gets paid millions of dollars. There's a clip of him in front of the Miami Dolphins, who play very good American football, from what I understand. He's basically been paid like several million quid to tell them, look, you think you're good. but you just don't want it badly enough. That's the basic gist of it. And he is fantastic. And one of his clips is about, if you want to breathe as much as you want to succeed, that's when you'll be successful. And you know what? Wow. I love that shit. I just love it. I love it. And it's a story about a guy, I won't tell you it, you should listen to it, about a young man who wants to be really successful. Of course, he hooks up with a guru, a bloke in his 90s, goes along to the beach. He gets called out into the water and he nearly drowns because he can't swim. And I'm inspired by it. Do you know why I'm inspired? I Googled it. And this is the whole thing about the journey, right? I Googled successful people who can't swim. Guess who came back? So many people. So Beyonce can't swim. Would you believe that?
What?
Right? Will Smith can't swim. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Rich. I'm sorry to break your spirit today.
What?
Okay, just listen. I'm hitting you with truth bombs, okay? But check this out. Snoop Dogg can't swim. A fact. It's on the internet, so it must be true. So what I'm saying is, you talk about.
They must have swimming pools. They must have. They're millionaires, all of them.
No one's ever swum their way out of the ghetto, baby. That's the truth of it. You know, for someone to be able to rap that well, right, and not be able to swim, I think it's shameful. But nothing. What rhymes with swim? Nothing. It's not about that. It's about guns and cars and derogatory terms for women. No one ever mentions swimming because nothing particularly rhymes with it. Pool rhymes are cool. I don't know. No.
I guess it's not a gangster pastime, is it? You're not kicking back in your speedos.
No, absolutely not.
At the Lido.
No, absolutely no. We're getting all fetish fair again now. Snoop Dogg in speed. No, absolutely not. So that's my thing. I would recommend Eric the Hip Hop Preacher. I feel like I would. He's great. You got to look him up.
I will do.
If you get a spare moment. Yeah.
I'll have a look. What I like about you, Matt, is that you're very open about everything. You're very open about where you're at. Whenever I see you, you're always honest about the mood you're in. That you're or what something that's been bothering you, or you're in a better place, or whatever. Yeah. You're very open and honest about where you're at the time. Whenever I see you, is that just who you are? Just a natural thing, yeah.
Well, yeah, but also it is partly that, but it's also as well, like I say, I'm quite flippant about, it's my mate Rich and all that, but you can take some responsibility for that as well, because, I'm only 50% of a transaction if you think about it. I'm not talking in terms of a transaction, but you meet people and sometimes they bring out the best in you. And I think that maybe you've got a quality that means when I can see you, I'm able to go, actually, I'm feeling a bit shit today, or I'm a bit nervous today, I'm a bit this today. So I don't, I'm an open person. We're in an industry, I think, where, and actually a world sometimes where you have to be guarded as well. But, but sometimes people bring out the best in me. And I like to think I try and do the same with them. It's kind of nice to be able to say to someone, hey, look how real we're being. So, and there's sometimes I've thought to myself, oh man, I can be really intense sometimes, but that's not always the case, because one person's intensity is what someone else is living every day. And I think what you do is, we're both stuck in it. We're not stuck. We're both living a dream. And we're both in an industry that's very difficult to navigate. And I think when you meet someone, even if you don't see him very often, who you kind of know, do you know what? I'll have a good time with this guy. Because we kind of, it doesn't matter if you're just pissing about, or what it is you're talking about. But the fact is, you don't have to drop my guard. Don't have to pretend to be anything. I haven't got to kiss 6 inches either side of your face, mwah, darling, mwah, or any of that stuff. And that's fine. That's all part of it. I tried networking once. Right? And Nigel Clafford won't mind me saying this. I was up with Bound and Gagged with a few years prior to lockdown, and I spoke to 59 out of 60 people. I'd pretty much given up on doing it. I was speaking to this tiny woman from the flyering team, and there was a candle that was the same height as the middle of my back. And I know this because I walked backwards, having been heartbroken trying to network, and my back went into the candle and I set myself on fire. And I stood there, and the flyering woman said to me, Matt, and I said, yes. She said, you appear to be on fire. And obviously, you know, all jokes aside, as a comic, you're thinking, oh, thank you so much. You're someone who gets me, it's amazing. But the point is, the smoke was coming up for my back. It burnt a hole. I mean, every time I tell the story, you know, it started off, it was about that big in reality. Every time I tell it, it's gone like bigger and bigger and bigger, this hole that burnt right through it. My missus was picking bits of cotton out of me the following day, going, listen, this is love, she's Glaswegian. And I was going, ow, ow, ow. Really, I should have gone to hospital. I'm saying it because I was traumatized by the whole thing. And at the time, it struck me, wow, I'm such a proud person. I can't even say to someone, I'm in agony right now. And what shocked me was, I didn't say anything. If it wasn't for that young flyer who was very nice, who put me out, she was whacking me on the back. By the way, afterwards, I networked with everybody in that meeting because everyone wanted to talk to me. And people genuinely thought, oh my God, that's an amazing publicity stunt. Why am I not setting myself on fire? You know, but the reason I say it is because if I was with you and I walked into a candle, you go, oh, you dickhead, look what you've done. Or something like that. And it will be over a lot quicker. do you know, because I've had to go, Rich, look, I'm in pain, what the fuck's going on? And it would be over and I wouldn't have a permanent scarring emotionally, or, you know, but I'm all right. I got over it. A word got around. Yeah. You know what comics are like. Some of them message, oh, you're so lucky, you know, with your new networking.
I've heard that story. I know it's,
well, there we go,
it's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. But what I'm saying is, you bring out the best in me.
Thank you, mate. I think it's, do you know what? You're right. Certain people, when you're with certain people, they just inspire you, like, naturally to just go, to just be, we are. We're all different with different people. It's like just a chemical reaction, isn't it? Different people bring out different things in you. Because there's some people that, sometimes I'm aside, and I'm like, oh, why am I being like that? That's a bit weird. I don't like that side of myself. Or whatever. Or, but 9 times out of 10, they're bringing out the best in you. And it's that, I think it's not little things that, you know, like you've got. I'll be like, oh mate, you've got a bit of dinner on your lip, and I'm not trying to embarrass someone. I'm just like, you probably need to know about that because I know I'd need to know about that. So I'm not walking around with a big chunk of dinner on my lip. You know, I remember when I was a bus driver, a woman got on the bus. She wasn't getting on the bus. She was asking for directions, and then I'm talking to her. I went, oh yeah, you need to go down there, and she just looked horrified. And I'm like, and she went, all right, thanks very much. I didn't really listen to what I was saying and then got off the bus and just sort of walked away. And I thought, that's weird. And then I looked in the mirror and I had the biggest, blackest bogey hanging down from my nose. Like a punch bag. And it's just...
Wow.
And I wish she'd have just said, you've got something hanging down from you.
Yeah, but you don't know what issues she was going through. You might have reminded her of somebody she knew, a school teacher or something. I don't know. You know, it's true. Awkward, and that's the whole point. And this is the thing. Sometimes it's just luck as well, and also sometimes in life, I think people are right for you at a certain time. The older I've got, the more like I used to have a thing about good-looking people. Now I just laugh at them. I feel sorry for them. You know, I genuinely do. I think, it's such a shame. One of my friends was very good looking. Who always used to say, "Oh, you don't know what it's like. I've got so many options with the ladies. It's just horrible." You know, and I just think, you poor thing. You poor thing. My heart breaks for you. And now I get people saying all the time, oh, I'm middle-aged. You know, the worst thing about being middle-aged is that I'm losing my good looks. And I always say, well, you know, I'm not. Honestly, I'm as good looking now as I've ever been. And I'm really happy about it. Genuinely over the moon about it. And I've reached the kind of couldn't give a fuck years, because I'm always respectful of people. But I think, you know, I've reached a point when I was certainly younger, it would be, I left school when I was 16. I had no qualifications. I got a job because someone said I wouldn't be able to get the job. I got a job as a trainee swimming pool attendant. Oh, wow. Yeah. That proved Mrs. Blamey wrong. All right. Yeah, up yours, Blamey. And the thing is this, I couldn't swim. And I was thinking about it the other day. How much of a liability is that? Honestly. Yeah. So I've proven this woman wrong, and I've got the job, and I'm standing there thinking, if anybody actually needs my help now, I'm going to have to blow a whistle in order to get to the attention of someone who can do the job that I'll never be able to do. I am like Snoop Dogg. I'm the Cornish Snoop Dogg. I can't rap, but I can't swim.
Did they not test you when you got the job? They're like, can you give us a couple of links so we can just double check?
No, they didn't. What they did, they dropped a brick into the pool. It was back in those days. Remember to do like, I forget what it was called. Because cycling proficiency came into my head then, where you get a policeman come to the school, but they had sort of swimming proficiency. They didn't call it that, like the bronze medallion life-saving thing. Yeah, and they chucked a black brick into the bottom because a human body, if someone is drowning in a swimming pool or whatever it is, they're going to sink straight to the bottom like a brick. You have to dive in, get a brick, take your pajamas off, tread water, tie a knot in the end with the water, lie on this thing, and then you're a lifeguard. Me, I'd have to go. They didn't even give me a whistle. That's how little faith they had in me. Right? And nowadays, man, seriously, in 2023, if there's any trainee swimming pool attendants out there, don't stand for it. If you get triggered, good, you should be. You deserve your own whistle. You're 17 years old and you can't swim. Believe in yourself. Ask for a fucking whistle. Seriously, Snoop Dogg would get one, and I didn't get one. I'm just saying. Sorry, man. I'm triggered now. It's easily done. Easily done.
You need there's a couple of things you need to be a lifeguard, and one of those is a big chair with like a tennis umpire's chair, a whistle, and the ability to swim. Yeah. If you're not getting any of those things, then what are you? You're just a bloke stood there in a jacket.
Yeah, absolutely. Stood there in a jacket. And do you know what? I got fired because I couldn't swim, but also I electrocuted a fellow lifeguard. Now, I'm going to qualify that. I'm going to qualify that right now, just so you know. So. Yeah, well, no, it's important. If we cut off now, can you imagine? That's beautiful comedy circuit gossip. So, it was a while ago. It was a few years ago now. And my point being, I thought I was a late developer. I may have been at 17. But when you get the middle-aged man now, I'm as good as I'm ever going to be. That's why I brought this up. But I was 17, and I was up a metal ladder. That's key to it, on poolside. And there was another lifeguard who could swim. All right? So he had reason to pour scorn upon me. He was making inappropriate noises that I can't do. But let's just imagine those noises. And they're connected to being of low intelligence at the time, many, many years ago, which is completely wrong, but in some ways accurate. But he had his status because of that. So I'm changing a clock because the clocks had changed. And I put my hand up this clock, and I touched a metal, like a bare wire. And he's holding onto the ladder, this metal ladder on poolside. And my grandma always used to say, a problem shared is a problem halved. I was brought up by my grandmother. She was a lovely woman. The electrical current went down through me and through the ladder, and he was stood on the wet poolside, and he squealed like a pig because he got electrocuted. We both did, but all I can say is, I just might be something in my genes that just made me go, maybe just sort of shrug it off. But he went, "Ah!" like that. I laughed a lot. I did. And I was called into the office and I was told, look, you can't swim. You knocked over a trampoline, which I did, an upright trampoline. I knocked it over by accident trying to put it out. That's another story. And you electrocuted one of your colleagues. So I'm very sorry to say you're going to have to go. And so I did.
Holy shit.
Yeah, fuck you, Mrs. Blame Me. I still did it for a year. Yeah, there we go.
Still did it, mate.
Didn't even get me a present. What they should have done, really, is given me a leaving card and actually given me a whistle for retirement, but they didn't even do that. It's like, when I think about it, it's not shtick, it's the truth, but they didn't.
Tossers. Absolute tossers. They gave you nothing from when you were there, from the time you were there to the time you left. They just gave you nothing.
No, but you know what? I do it all over again. I do it all over again just for the sheer joy. Because sometimes in life you have to demonize people. And that's the other thing as well. It's healthy to not always like people. You don't have to like everybody or them to like you. So it's absolutely fine. And I'm glad. I'm not saying anyone listen that you should electrocute people. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if life gives you electricity, then use it on a fellow lifeguard because it's immensely satisfying.
Lemonade.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that incident, actually.
But you said you were brought up by your...
no end, that is.
You said you were brought up by your grandma.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was. They were great people. I mean, basically I was born in Cornwall, and my mum and dad, they separated when I was younger. My mum was a political activist, so that was interesting.
wow.
So ever since I could walk, we were taken on protest marches, and we had some very, it's very sort of raw and interesting experiences that now, when I look back, at the time, it was terrifying. But then you kind of look back and you go, well, actually, my formative years were pretty good, in the sense that my mum made it very, very simple. So one year I was given Yankee and American soldiers, like toy soldiers, for Christmas, with a fort and with what would have been at the time Red Indians, now Native American Indians, but they were Red Indians back in the day. And my mum said, now, she goes, you're allowed to play. She goes, but here's what we're doing. She goes, the Yankees, they're kind of the good guys, all right, because they're against slavery. Sorry, any American fans of Rich Wilson's podcast, I don't want to trigger you, all right? And then she explained that the Confederates, they're trying to enslave the Indians, but ultimately the Indians were here first, okay? So you can war sometimes, it's justifiable, but the Indians are ultimately going to be the winners in this battle. And I was like 6 years old. I was okay, I understand that. And she very simply said, we go on protest marches, and we marched against the National Front. And it was just very simple.
Wow.
See those guys over there?
Yeah.
They're the bad guys. And everybody else around, all shapes, sizes, colours, creeds, really genuinely, they're all the good people. And I got it. I got it very. So it meant that I grew up, certainly till between the age of 5 and 9. We were kind of Manchester and various places, London for a while as well, Brixton, Tulsa Estate,
nice.
before I then left and ended up going to live with my grandparents. So obviously that was a very a huge change. And nothing sinister in leaving. Mum was saving the world, and when you're trying to save the world, sometimes this is about how you never know what's going on in people's lives, you see, because she was trying to save the world, and I wasn't necessarily the priority that I could have been. But that's sort of, boo-hoo, poor me, because my grandparents took over, and they were terrific people. They were great, and Cornwall's great. And it did mean that I was in the remedial class at school. I was deemed to have learning difficulties, and it's actually not true. I didn't have any learning difficulties. I just couldn't read because I hadn't been in school long enough. So, when you're trying to save the world and you're chucking eggs, if you're chucking eggs at far-right extremists, Janet and John, or whoever it was, that we're meant to be reading, isn't really a priority, because those bad guys over there, those bad men, deserve to have eggs thrown at them. I mean, being vegan wasn't a thing back then, so you couldn't trigger anybody as such. You couldn't really throw eggs now. You'd have to, don't know what you do, just throw insults or something. I'm not sure. Sorry to any vegan fans. Okay, I'm almost vegan. I'm almost vegan. Vegetarian. I'm vegetarian.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see your mother at all since when you went back to Cornwall? Did you have a relationship with her?
Not really. No, not really. My grandma was my mother. She was, and there's nothing. Again, it's about people, isn't it? And it's about timings. So I haven't seen my mum for a very long time.
Really?
If I wanted to find her, it's, I don't know, well over 20 years. If I wanted to find, she's somewhere in Ireland, as far as I know. And if I wanted to find her, I would get an old photograph and put it on a milk carton, and sort of put it out there. But I don't know where she is. I have absolutely no idea. We could launch an appeal.
Wow.
To try
you never know. She might.
Yeah. She might get in touch now. Imagine that. Yeah. You never know.
How would it make you feel, though, after all this time? How would you feel after all this time, though, if that happened?
I don't know, but if she does get in touch, I'll do it live for you. How about that? That'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Imagine that. I might electrocute her. You never know. Yeah, of course, it would be a first, wouldn't it? I go, Mum, I've
swimming,
got a ladder.
Mum?
Yeah, absolutely. You never know, do you? But I want to make it clear, my grandma was everything to me. She was, and my mum, it was strange. I mean, it depends how deep you want me to go. We've all got stuff that happens, and this is the whole point. I think sometimes bad things happen in life to you. That sometimes awful things happen. I had some horrible things happen, really. But what I love now is that I'm still standing. I'm still here.
Mm.
You know, the one of the themes for you, obviously, is men's mental health, and I'm not crowbarring this in, other than I want to say it, is that no matter how bad something is, at the time it can be horrific. There's a certain satisfaction to go, yeah, but I survived that. I'm all right. I'm actually okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine. You know, really, I'm all right. You know, I go home and I see my dad. My dad and me, my dad's 75, right? My dad is a good mate of mine. I didn't know him when I was growing up. He's one of the nicest people I know, one of the coolest dudes ever. And this is the thing about getting to know people and what they're really like, and what a privilege it is sometimes to get to know people, you know. And at our house, we've been living there since 1860. My dad is the 5th generation to be there.
Wow.
Right? And I say this because he rents it. We've always rented it, that's all. Now it's owned, and there's a bad guy in this story. It's owned by a guy who owns 200 properties. He lives up country, which is anywhere past Plymouth, by the way, to a Cornishman. And he said to my dad, well, Mr. Price, he said, I've bought your house. I will tend to buy a property for very, very cheap, which he did. And then when the old person who lives in it dies, I can sell it for 4 times what it's worth. And my dad said to him, well, I'm glad you told me that. He said, because I'm going to show. And a few weeks later, he said to him, I've got a spreadsheet now, my dad said. I've given up tobacco, I've given up alcohol, and I've started swimming every day. And I've factored in the grief of my cat dying. I'm going to live for another 20 years, mate, just to spite you. And I love my dad for that.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's fantastic. Yeah. It's what keeps him going. It's what keeps him healthy. And I love that. And my favourite one, the landlord came down from up country with a colleague and was stood on the garden. And my dad drew all the curtains and shouted through the letterbox, well, if you want to get access to the property, you need, according to law, to give me 30 days written notice requesting access. So the guy goes away really angry, sends him a letter saying, dear Mr. Price, I'd like to have access to the property 30 days from now. My dad waited 29 days later and replied to him saying, dear sir, no. Sincerely, Anthony Price.
What a man.
What a man. But it's great, right? And I had this tearful moment. I'm saying that to say this. I had this tearful moment where I said, Dad, if I was more successful, I could buy you this place. And he said, if you were more successful, I would not want to live in this rundown shithole. He said, what do you think gets me out of bed every day? He goes, I sit here praying. He said, I sit here praying that the roof gets blown off just so I can phone the landlord to say, oi, dickhead, come and fix my roof. He said, it makes my day.
It's giving him a lust for life. It's really firing him up.
Of course it has. And it fires me up. But I know my dad is all right, if that makes sense. Yeah. I know he's all right. It's fine. I'll phone him up. Other people would go, oh, my God, my dad's there in the freezing cold. No, I'm not. I've got a 3rd blanket. An idiot's coming down from London now to fix my radiator. Perfect. It's a great, it's a great way to live. And like I said, but it's all about the fact that I've got to know my dad. And we know each other very well, and obviously he's flippant in that respect, but yeah, we know each other and it's great. And when the time comes, I go down there quite a lot to see him anyway. He's got badgers in the garden. He feeds one of them. One of them knocks on the door.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's like, hey, welcome to Matt Price Smokes Crack with Rich Wilson, but really, I mean, honestly, it sounds crazy, right? But he's got a badger. And they are wild, obviously, but he feeds them peanuts, and not pub peanuts. He's not, they are. He's done the research into what they eat, and they like these particular type of nuts. And he's got to know them quite well, and they come around during the season, and they will. And this particular one, he kind of bangs himself against the door to let my dad know that he's there. My dad opens up the door, gives him some nuts, and badgers are surprisingly noisy eaters. They really are. But yeah, honestly, really, really, you're like, oh, mate, I know you're a wild animal, but come on, have a bit of decorum.
That's the tagline for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good. I'm so glad. I had footage of it somewhere as well. And I've realised how West Country I am sometimes as well. You're bringing out the inner farmer in me now, mate. You really are. I can't believe that.
Mate, honestly, the way you nailed that then, just... Sorry,
good.
everyone.
Fair.
That's
No.
really got me. That really got me.
Oh, good. Well, I'm
Badges
so glad.
surprisingly.
Yeah, well, they are.
Ah.
I-
All right. Fuck, mate. But you've got some. Having known you for a little while, and talking to you now, you've got some good people around you. Like your missus is tip top. She's a top human being. You've got such a lovely relationship, you two. Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've earned it as well. You know, we have. And the thing about my missus, she works in suicide prevention. That's one of the things that she does. And here's the thing. It does nothing like getting a sense of perspective. And by that, I don't mean getting all pious and saying, oh, you know, go and see people who are less fortunate than you. Because I could talk to anyone and they'll tell me that they're less fortunate. But so, for example, Christmas, right? Historically, neither of us have really enjoyed Christmas very much. However, since we've been together for 17 years, we love Christmas. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Because of the nature of our work, quite often we can't have Christmas Day on Christmas Day. So that's all right. The shit bit, sort of like 27th to 30th or whatever, that's when we tend to have our Christmas. A couple of Christmas days a couple of years ago, she was at work, and that's absolutely fine. It's okay. But she talked a young person down from a railway bridge, which is a very serious thing to be able to do. And, but she's able to do that. She's got the skills to be able to do that. And here's the thing. I admire her immensely for being able to do that. But what it means is that I cannot come home and complain to her that my joke about porcupines isn't working. Because she'll go, I saved somebody's life today.
Yeah.
How was your day? Oh, they didn't laugh at my jokes. Ooh. You know, it's just like, well, I just saved 2 lives, you know, and there's some old dude with dementia's gone missing and now we've got him back. So she's, you know, when she worked in domestic violence, she worked in a woman's refuge and a guy showed up with a hammer, a perpetrator, you know, threatened to kill her.
God.
And I said, well, what did you do? Well, I got the hammer. She goes, I got the hammer off him. She said, you know, he was sat on the floor crying. The police arrived. And I said, can I keep the hammer? Because I've got to put up some shelves. And I'm like, you are joking me. Really? The flippant Glaswegian. Flippant Glaswegian.
Yeah.
But obviously,
So
you know, she's got a great sense of humour about it. But yet she is my support network. And we're each other's support network. Because you know some of the backstory there about it as well.
Yeah.
But, you know. And so, yes, I'm very lucky. Also, I didn't think I'd ever have a relationship, which is such a shame.
Oh, mate.
You know, no, I didn't, because for various reasons, you know, it's a difficult one. I don't know. Do we? Can we go there? Can we get this bleak?
We've got time. Yeah,
Okay.
come on. Let's
All
get
right.
bleak, mate.
Okay. It ends well. I'm very, very happy. The missus is very, very happy. That's what you need to know. When I was 7, my mum's boyfriend at the time, you know what kids are like, right? I was trying to eat. I had a big piece of ham, like a giant piece. It's like a scar on my back. It grows every time I tell the story, right? But I got this piece of ham, 7, and I get it, and I put it in my mouth, right? The whole thing, like this. And the guy at the time, he ripped the ham out of my mouth, and he said to me, "You ugly little," I'm not going to say the word, man. You can imagine what he said. And he threw the ham back onto the plate. Now, here's the thing. I don't be too flippant about it. That happened. It was a very, very long time ago. I'd probably, as I get older and you're more conscious about your weight and stuff, you know, I like food. I'd probably employ him now to rip the food out of my mouth because it might help. At the time, no, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. It's a shit form of life coach, but I probably would. And I did have quite a bleak, violent upbringing with a lot of stuff happening, right? And you get older and then you're like, oh man, what's the point of me trying to do anything? Because I'll never have anyone to share my life with, because I'm that ugly kid with getting the food ripped out of my mouth. And that's a very dark thing to say. And I've said it because it's the truth. I don't want sympathy. I'm saying it because I can look back on it now. All right. Yeah. And then you get a little bit older and you kind of have the odd relationship. It doesn't really work out because you're still resolving your issues. And then eventually you meet the one, which is what I did. And then you think, wow, I'm so lucky to have you. And then Martha always says, yeah, but we're lucky to have each other. And we've hung on to it. There's no secret to it, apart from home cooking. You know, a slow cooker and a neck fan will get you a long way. I don't know if you've seen neck fans before. These things are incredible, man. Honestly, listen, anybody... I'm gonna be completely honest. They're 20 quid on Amazon. All right, the advert is slightly better than the reality, but the reality is fantastic. All right, you can save any relationship with a slow cooker and a neck fan. Put one of these bad boys on, and you're fine, and you're great. But
do you know what I said to my missus the other day? Yeah. I said to my missus about getting her one. Yeah, we got.
They're
sorry.
Great. No. They're great. But the point being, despite all that sort of bleakness, things have worked out. And I think that's important sometimes, in life, because you can feel, sometimes you can be so self-absorbed. I've been there and I've done that. I have. I've had all sorts of experiences, but it's actually all right. And here's the thing. If someone is clinically depressed, and I've been there many, many years ago, I was lucky because at the time, people actually helped me out of it. I had good friends of mine who just said, hey, listen, come on. We need to deal with this now. And I was very fortunate. There's no shame in it. No shame in feeling the way you do. I think sometimes, especially as a younger man, there's a temptation to feel like no one's ever loved like I love or has hated like I hate. No one's ever been this angry. Nah, we're all wired up in a very, very similar way, whoever you are in the world. How do you measure? But the fact is that sometimes you can get wrapped up and absorbed in your own sort of intensity. And I'm lucky that I've lived long enough and had enough experiences and met good people in my life to be able to say, well, actually, Rich, it is a bit bleak. But on the other hand, I'm all right now and I'm genuinely happy. I don't look back on that with any emotional attachment. I just think, I don't like Ham very much, but, I'm not blaming him. It's just how it is. It's just how it is.
Yeah. I had a similar experience, I remember, so when I was 12, I'd been to the school disco. I've said this on here before, many, many episodes ago. And it was the first girl I ever kissed at the school disco. I was 12 years old. And it wasn't like a Hollywood snog. It was a proper just lips kiss. You're 12, you don't know what you're doing. I thought that was it. I thought I'd lost my virginity. I thought that's what had happened. And I really liked her, and I thought she was lovely, and the first girl I kind of loved in, that sort of childish way. And I went to meet her after school one day, and she just turned on me and she went, "You're ugly. Just go away. Just fuck off. Don't talk to me. You're ugly." And it stayed with me forever. Being called ugly at a young age, honestly, to this day, I don't think I'm really over it. And that was nearly 40 years ago. It's nuts, isn't it? How it gets you.
It's heartbreaking. Well, it is, but on the other hand, if it was too easy, then you'd be going, "Oh my God, everything was handed to me on a plate, and now look at me." So no one's ever happy. The sort. How do you know what it is that shapes you into what you are? You just don't know. Life's a mystery, And I think as you get older, like I say, I'm no longer a late developer. I learned to laugh at myself an awful lot more, which helps. And I'm glad that I'm in a situation where I can. I've got a lovely woman who is extremely grounded and will tell me, on certain terms, "Oh, shut up." But not in a nasty way, but she just will, because there's nothing. Glaswegians are beautifully blunt. They really are.
Yeah.
And, and I'm lucky. And things also happen at a time when you're ready for it as well. Had this upbringing whereby it wasn't very pleasant. And although I was certainly learning a lot, which is fine. And you got to process it sometimes. Sometimes you have to process things. The stuff I look back on now, not just at that point in my life, but people I've met in the past. I'm still trying to process things that happen. And it's all right as well to spend your life wanting to know what happens next, but still being unsure. Because unfortunately, life doesn't have a narrative arc as such. And not everything kind of ties itself up neatly. You're going to go to your grave thinking, well, I don't know. I wonder what they meant by that. Because you just will, and it's okay to not have answers about everything as well. So I'm certainly in a very good place. And it was hard being young. It was. Some people are better off being middle aged. Honestly, I'd be, if I could have been born in my 40s, I'd have been absolutely fine. But then I would have made a different set of mistakes. Then, I'd have probably cut the ham up and eaten it a lot quicker.
It's true. I feel better now than I've ever done yet. As you're supposed to.
I
feel like I'm in a better place now. I feel like I am. Yeah, I feel better where I am now than I don't feel as uncomfortable in myself as I used to. I feel really. No. I feel I'm in a wonderful relationship with a beautiful person, and my kids are cool. Everyone's lovely. I've got nice people around me, It's nice. And I don't feel I have to prove myself anymore. I don't feel I have to... I remember years ago, wonderful woman Marilyn, who we both know, and she said to me, she goes, "You are enough," and I'll never forget that. She said, "You are enough."
Yeah,
and she's an incredibly wise woman that I owe so much to, and you're enough, and it's true.
Yeah, it's true. It absolutely is.
I'll
and
never
also,
forget that.
But you don't know what other people see either. That's the whole thing. You don't know what other people see. And it's weird. I remember when I was at university, because I was a factory worker for a very long time. So eventually, I had an ingrown toenail that went septic, which ruined my professional skateboarding career. Right? Absolutely, it ruined it. And it
I can imagine. Yeah, that would. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it did. And then someone said to me, why don't you just be a professional skateboarder? I was like hobbling into this college, and I didn't want to pack fish anymore, because that's what it was, a fish factory, and ended up going to university, and I've certainly lost my point now. That's not good, is it, for the edit?
Can you skateboard?
Yeah, I can skateboard. Yeah, of course I can. What kind of a question's that? No.
Well, you're a lifeguard and you couldn't swim.
That's a very good point, actually.
You went...
I'm a comedian and I'm not funny.
Yeah.
It's terrible. No, you're right.
That's bullshit.
No. Yeah. Actually, no. I think what it was, I was getting back to that thing about trying, like in the same way with being the lifeguard, I had to prove somebody wrong. With going to university, someone said you're not cut out for it, and I had to just prove them wrong. And I had to go. Yeah, and I did, and it was fine. It was fine. But you can spend a lot of your life trying to do that. You can spend a lot of your life sort of worrying about what other people think. And as you get older, you're much more chilled. And it came back to that thing as well. I didn't think I could ever have a relationship with anybody. So I thought, well, I need to try and do something extraordinary. And actually, you can do extraordinary things every day. You can. When I went to Australia, I was in Melbourne. I stayed with a rescue dog called Dave, who was
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course I did. Right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Did you say yes to things?
Dave, yeah. Yes. It wasn't just him. It wasn't just me and Dave. But he was a German Shepherd. He was 2 years old, so he was a young pup, really, and slightly traumatised. But he would sleep outside my room, because his owner would say, "Oh, he sleeps outside your room," and it was a wooden floor, and his tail would bang on the floor every day. And I would get his ball. And I've never seen such joy in all my life, just throwing a ball. Now, to that dog, that dog thinks I'm pretty cool, Yeah. And I, when I was leaving, I was a little bit tearful, and I said, "Look, I'm really sorry. It's not you. It's the dog." And they said, "Oh, it's okay. We understand." I said, "Well, no, I can hug you and I can say thank you." I said, "But I can't tell Dave I love you other than hand him the ball. I'm not going to be here now to give him the ball. So just please throw it for him every day. This is breaking me in two." And she said, "Right, off you go." We haven't emailed, but the point being that what that woman did, she used to work as in health and beauty, so she was like a makeup artist. Got disillusioned with it because of the shallow nature of it. Now has a beauty salon at home, and she would blow dry Dave, the dog. She'd wash him and then blow dry him, sometimes in front of her clients. But once a month, she would get people, recovering addicts, who would come in and give them a free makeover, because she always said, everybody deserves to feel beautiful, right? Now, I'm saying that because, like I said, people think, "Oh, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to break a world record." Yeah, and that's great. And I admire people who can do these incredible things. And I want to do incredible things as well, whatever that may be. Yeah. But sometimes you can just stand back and go, actually, that was just amazing, whatever it was. I met that person, and I may never see her again. I hope to go back to Melbourne, actually, so I can see Dave, just to see if he remembers me. But the point being, you can be inspired by all sorts of people, and I think that's important,
But it's funny you saying what you don't know what people see, you don't know about other people's lives, what they're going through, and things like that. And I've said this to you before, but it was a piece of advice, not advice. It was a conversation we had that really changed my mindset when I said to you, this was years ago. It might have been I think it was the same night that we walked across Abbey Road.
Mm.
And I went, I always worry about every time I have a conversation with someone, I bump into someone and we have a chat. And then when I walk away, I'm thinking, they're like, oh, what a fucking dickhead he is. And you went, but they're not thinking about you when you walk away.
No.
They might have gone, oh, that was nice to see him. Then they're going back to their day and they're enjoying it. They've got their own things to think about. They're not analysing what has just happened with you.
No.
And it really changed everything for me. That one conversation changed everything.
That's really nice, and it can as well. It absolutely can. Yeah. People can change your entire perspective. Now I'm going to tell you this, because and actually, right. So as you know, many years ago, and I'm over it genuinely. My missus got attacked. Okay, and we know that it happened a long time ago, and we are very happy together. But there was an armed robber, a guy called Terry Ellis, who I got to know quite well. And he said to me one day, this is an example of things changing that quickly, right? He said to me, how long have you been hurting over Martha being attacked? And I said, 15 years. And he said to me, do you not think that's long enough? He said, I did 18 years for armed robbery. You've done 15 years in your own head. 15 years in your own head, and you did nothing wrong. He said, maybe it's time to be over it. And I put the phone down and I thought, fuck, yes, you're right. So isn't it amazing how just a tiny couple of sentences like that, and he wasn't being, he's a lovely guy. And I thought, yeah, you're right. It's actually time to move on. And isn't it amazing what impact words can have on people? And also as well, Rich, we're not seeing what other people see. Like I say, you might open up to me. I know we know each other, and you might think, oh God, should I have told him that? And I might be thinking, wow, what an inspiring guy for telling me that.
Yeah,
Or I might. Do you know what I mean? So we,
you never know, man. You never know. What? Saying on. So was Terry the guy that attacked Martha?
No. Terry wasn't the guy.
I was going to say
no,
because I was how is what?
No. Oh, sorry. No, I didn't. I hope did I not explain that very well? Okay.
I might have misheard
Terry
it. I might have misunderstood.
Yeah. No. I will explain again. So Terry Ellis is a guy who was an armed robber. He went to jail for armed robbery. He's turned his life around completely, and he's just a really nice guy. He's just doing his own thing. He's a straight goer now. He understands what he did, why he did it. Doesn't really bang on about it. Just gets on with life. And he very kindly asked me, look, you're suffering an awful lot because of what happened to Martha. He said, I understand it. He said, but how long have you been suffering for? And I said, 15 years. And he said, do you not think that's long enough? And it really stayed with me. He said, you don't have to keep hurting yourself. He said, because you've done nothing wrong. You put yourself in a prison in your own mind. I hope that's clearer, because
absolutely.
And that comes back to what you said. That just a few words can make such a difference to people. But none of us really know the impact. None of us really know the impact. No. I might see someone at the right time and give them a little bit of encouragement at the right time, and they'll never forget it. Then I've met loads of people. I can't believe for one second that you're any different. You've said to me, oh, Matt, I don't know if you remember me. And I have to go, look, I'm really sorry. No, I'm afraid I don't. Usually a comedian. And they'll go, well, we were in a car coming back from a gig and I was close to tears because I died on my arse. And you said, keep going. And now 5 years later, here I am. I'm a comedian. Good, brilliant. And I'm sure you've had similar things, and I think, well, I don't know what I said, but obviously it worked, join the queue.
Oh, mate, that's happened, a couple of times, and you go, I remember the car, I vaguely remember, and they go, mate, you said this thing and it changed everything, and you go, fuck, so you just don't know what kind of connection or effect you're having on everybody around you, which is why I think it brings us nicely round to how we started. Just be fucking decent to each other. It's not hard.
Absolutely.
And it'll bring out the best in everybody.
It does. And also as well, I think what it also does as well, you see, because if you are Rich Wilson and you're a generally sort of good-natured dude, you've got enough karma in the bank that if I saw you and you headbutted a wall, I would still go, oh, it's Rich.
Bless him. He's obviously going through something.
Yeah. Honestly, you've got enough goodwill from me. You could murder one of my third cousins and I'd still go, yeah, but he's a nice guy though, isn't he? You know.
You must be having an off day.
Yeah.
I'd be the same with
Yeah.
you, mate. I'd be the same with you. And this is why I was really excited when it came up. And I'm like, yes, I want to talk to Matt. We should have done this years ago. And we're here.
Yeah.
We've done it now. Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And you're going to be going off to Edinburgh.
Yes,
right?
I am indeed. Yeah. I'm playing the lottery again, the Great Comedians Lottery. It could be
Well
me.
done, mate.
Probably won't, but you never know, do you? I'm certainly going to
You
try.
never know. You got to be in it to win it, mate.
Absolutely. And please feel free to remind me halfway through the festival when I'm sat in a doorway crying, you're a very positive man. You're a positive man. Say it.
Yeah.
You know, because but no, it'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it. I've got quite a story to tell. Somebody threatened to kill me, and I've made it very funny. So I'm quite pleased about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Well,
wasn't the lifeguard,
well
in
done.
case you're wondering. But
Getting his own back. Come and stand in this bucket of water. Why?
it would be a hell of a revenge strategy, wouldn't it? Really. And the bloke with the ham, by the way, he's dead as well. So don't worry about that. You know, not that I wanted him dead. Yeah. No, he didn't like choke on a bit of ham or anything. He died of natural causes. So
Well, there you go. Well, and where in Edinburgh are you going to be, Matt?
Yes, I need to plug the show because if I don't, certain people are going to tell me off, aren't they? I am at the
Yes,
Caves at 6:20 in the eve. That's the Caves in just the spare one, which is the room with the church pews in it. And I've heard it's a very, very nice room, and everyone says how great it is. It's at 6:20, which is a perfect time to have an Edinburgh show. It's called As Seen on CCTV, which is an allusion to the fact that I've never been on television. But also the fact that the bloke who threatened to kill me did so in a pub with 8 people, 3 of whom were yardies, and other members of the South East London criminal fraternity, and he did it on CCTV.
Excellent. What a knob.
It's good. But I tell you what, blank your face out when you say that, Rich. And no, I'm just kidding. It's a very happy, very uplifting, surprisingly very funny show. I promise you, it's an absolute hoot.
Not surprising at all, mate, because you're very funny. Where can we find you on the socials?
Oh, on the socials, I actually have a YouTube channel where I've got ridiculous stuff,
mate.
Which is good. I am on there, but also at Matt Price Comic on Twitter, Matt Price Comedian on the gram. Is that what they call it? Insta.
On the gram, mate. Yeah. On the old gram there.
Yeah, the gram. I'm on TikTok. Mate. I'm on Facebook. You can send me a letter if you want. I'll be fine. There's lots of options. I don't know. Phone me up if you want.
You're going to get inundated now. You're going to.
That'd be amazing. If this was the turning point, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I reckon. Who knows, man? You never know. The power of yes. You never know what's going to happen if you say yes.
Absolutely. You've got to get a neck fan, Rich. I'm telling you now.
I'll order one now from Amazon. I'll do it now.
Order it, and get back to me, and it'll make you happy.
I will do. This has been Insane in the Membrane. This has been Matt Price. Thank you so much for listening to us. I've been Rich Wilson, and we will see you next time.